you come into the game plan for the players you have available, but you lose 2 during the game.
Yep.
How much did that shift things and lead to some of the struggles you guys have in the offensive end?
I think in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter into the second, it was like kind of like a gut punch. And then we had to really reconfigure what we were doing on the offensive end, and it affected us in the second quarter, no doubt. Not having another primary ball handler. We take Sophie out of what she does naturally really well when she has to become a ball handler. I think it kind of punched us in the gut for a little while. But look, the reality is, like, this stuff happens. Like, we've seen it time and time again in our league, and having to find a way. We can't take 2.5 quarters to then figure it out from a toughness standpoint, from an energy standpoint. I was proud of our fight in the fourth quarter. After Sophie goes down, I was proud of our fight, but our consistency throughout the course of the game has to be better.
Tawana was just in here talking about hesitancy and how it was leading to turnovers
Yep.
offensively, and you guys are all figuring that out. I get that, but with the injuries piling up and all that, how do you keep assessing and evaluating the process of your offense when there's so much changing all the time?
Yeah, I think offensively it makes it a little bit more difficult. We got to get creative. We got to figure out who can get us into offense. We got to figure out what actions we can run. And we're gonna have to do the same thing defensively. Honestly, and from a rotation standpoint. But that's what we do. That's our job, right? Like, we got to figure it out. We've got to get creative on both ends of the floor. But DB's absolutely right. I think so many times, and you've seen it really throughout the course of early in the season, is just like unsure, hesitant on coming to the ball, moving without the ball. Am I passing it? Am I not passing it? Instead of really letting it flow. Part of that's still getting to know one another. I think part of that is understanding what to get, which actions we're trying to get in the system. We got to simplify in a big way. And then we got to continue to build and grow. Look, there's no question, we're hitting adversity right now. Like, it's challenging. And it's still a great opportunity for us because it's not going to be perfect. It's early enough in the season that we've got a chance to really, I think, find a gut check moment, right? And who we're going to be through adversity. And, I think our team battled. We just didn't have enough at the end.
Does it take a toll mentally at all you come into the game without Caitlin, then you lose Sydney, you lose Sophie, and just kind of feels like things are piling up on you there in the moment?
I'm not in the moment. It doesn't. And again, like, we've seen this time and time again in our league, right? Like, nobody feels sorry for you. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. We just have to figure it out. We've got to make sure that while it might look different, we've got to have fewer moments of breakdowns on the defensive end. We got to have fewer moments of a flurry of turnovers. We've got to have fewer moments where we come out of timeout and not executing. Those are areas we can control. We can't control the injuries. We can't control right now, who's on or off the floor, and we can figure out some different rotations. We can figure out a different way to play, but we also have to be able to control the things that we can control on the floor and still grow in those areas.
What do you think shifted for you all in that 16-0 run in the fourth quarter, and then also the last shot? Just your thoughts on the last play.
I think in the fourth quarter we just found another gear. We found another gear. As much as the Sydney injury was probably a gut punch for us, the Sophie one gave us a little bit of juice. And so we found another gear. I thought our activity level on the defensive end was really good. We stopped being hesitant. We started taking our open shots. We were aggressive to the rim. As far as the last play, it wasn't clean. We didn't get it in cleanly. I thought we were gonna, the way it was developing looked like we were gonna have a good look, but it just wasn't clean.
I guess first, is there any update